Hi, my name is Frankie, and today I'm going to talk about the 26th Amendment. The 26th Amendment states that the right of the citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. Students from all over the nation got informed about politics at the time and demanded that they be allowed to have a say of who's in government, since the government didn't give them a choice to be drafted in the war. Besides the millions who urged for this amendment, there were also people in government, like Carl Albert, who endorsed it. The General Services Administrator at the time, Robert Kunzig, had certified it, and President Nixon signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which went hand in hand historically with the passing of the 26th Amendment. To give some background, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 outlawed any discriminatory voting practices. It was passed by Congress on March 23, 1971, and later ratified on July 1st of the same year. It's a record for the fastest amendment ratified because Congress wanted it in action by the time the next election came around in 1972. This issue originally took place around April of 1970, when Congress controversially lowered the voting age to 18 as part of the legislation. It was an extension of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But December of that same year, it was seen as overstepping its legislative bounds and lowering the voting age. Later, the Supreme Court applied lowering the voting age only to federal elections. If it was going to be for all elections, it needed a constitutional amendment saying so under the Supreme Court. The issue that prompted the proposal had begun around 3 decades earlier during World War II, where the slogan, "Old enough to fight, old enough to vote," was first heard. It was later adopted by student activists who protested the Vietnam War. A clipping from an old newspaper reads, "If men are forced by law to submit to a draft set up by government policies, then it should follow that they should be able to exercise the right to vote to change these policies or support someone who will." Students are also more mature and responsible today and much more aware of the issues that confront the voting public. Like this pin simply says, "You fight and die but can't vote at 18. This motivated activists to increase pressure on Congress to pass the 26th Amendment. Because COVID-19 is impacting the 2020 election, states are making it harder for young folks to vote. For example, in Texas, only registered voters who meet certain criteria, including being 65 or older, are qualified to request a mail-in ballot. This goes against the amendment because anyone 18 plus can't be denied the right to vote. Residency requirements, strict voter ID laws, and inaccessible polling places affect voters of all ages, but particularly abridge youth voting rights. College students today, living and studying away from their family homes, have to establish residency in their new locations in order to vote. Many states have prohibited the use of student ID cards for voter identification, requiring in-state driver's licenses. This poses as a problem because student IDs are sometimes the only form of identification a person 18 years of age can afford to have, being that most don't have the option to have a driver's license or a passport. Restricting this use of a student ID as a valid form is a way of denying the right to vote. Thank you for taking the time to listen about the history of the 26th Amendment and its importance. Please don't forget to register or pre-register to vote. I will have a link in the description that has information and can help you along the process.